in the mirror. I see a great man, but look in the mirror. I see a great man, just look in the mirror. I see a great man. I see a great man. I see a great man.
The way they gel together is gonna push my agenda of like the small business push and promoting these small businesses like all together. Like it's starting to be beautiful.
I love that.
You know, it's starting to be beautiful. That's just how I'm political without trying to be political. 'Cause I don't want to run for politics.
No.
You know,
It's a dirty game.
Yeah, but I also say though, that is also part of the reason we're at where we're at in our country, because good men have chosen not to run for politics, so therefore bad men do, and women. But I think that's part of the reason why.
I totally agree.
But selfishly, I still don't want to do it.
Exactly.
But for me, like I told Brandon and them, we were chilling one night, and I was like, bro, what's gonna happen is like 5 or 6 years from now, whether our business is running or not, like it's going heavy or not, our country's gonna be at a place, and there's a chance that you guys are just gonna have to look at me and be like, you gotta do it. Like whether I want to do it or not, you're just gonna have to look at me and be like, all right, Jacob, you gotta do it. I just don't want to. You know, that's not what I want to spend my time doing.
But I wonder, same deal. When is that point ever get? Like it might get here sooner than we think. Just when is that point gonna get here?
Yeah,
I totally agree.
I hope it's not anytime soon. I hope we can figure it out. I've been this political race this time around. I've always paid like pretty close attention, but like I'm being really meticulous before I just jump in who I want to do. I don't
national, regional, state,
all of it. And coming up for the presidency in 2024, I'm having a hard time. DeSantis is walking himself out of it though. He's slacking.
Stupid.
Yeah, whoever is in his marketing party needs to be fired.
It's terrible.
Yeah, they need to be fired. And I like Vivek.
He's awesome.
Awesome. Yeah.
Dude, that dude should be the guy.
Yeah, I'm a fan of him. I think I listened to him on Patrick Bet-David's podcast the other morning, and I was pretty sold. Him and I have pretty much the same ideas and stuff. I was pretty sold.
He is the fresh new wave we need.
Yeah, I agree.
He's stupid smart.
Yes.
And I think he's got, for extremely opposing viewpoints, I think he can find the middle ground better than anybody we've had at all recently. Yeah. And he knows what it takes. This dude literally made himself a billionaire on his own.
Yeah. Second generation,
he's incredible.
Literally the American dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I also think we need a freaking, no matter who's president, freaking crazy culture change in our country. Like crazy culture change. Like that's why I started doing like the daily real ones and all that stuff. It's just because like, bro, we gotta get up. Start doing stuff. People gotta get motivated. Stop being entitled. My favorite thing is like, anytime someone people complain about how they're oppressed they are, and I'm like, bro, that's a very easy thing to say with a $900 phone in your hand. Or like, you're oppressed, but how long did you scroll on social media today? You're oppressed, but how many hours of video games you played today? What about the car you're driving?
Yeah.
You know, the one thing about being oppressed is if you can say you're oppressed, then you're not oppressed. You can call out your oppressor, then you're not oppressed. You know, and so I'm just like, bro, we have to have a culture change.
But I think that built up, I think, from so many generations from when we got our very first liberties, if you will.
Yeah.
You know, and then people over time continue to hopefully make the right decisions until we get to current day. But like so many things that got us to that point, the first people that always fought for everything, you know what I mean, they cherished it the most.
Yeah.
They taught their kids, okay? And then it was just a chipping away of people just lost how valuable it was. Right. They didn't know how important it was. Yeah. And through all these generations passed down, now these people don't have any idea of what it took to get what we have.
Right.
And then what it takes to sustain it, because like you just said, on the backside, they don't know what they're doing actually to hinder the cause instead of trying to advance it.
Right. No,
I totally agree.
Exactly.
And we've lost work ethic, like you just said.
Yeah.
Like nobody's working.
Nobody's working. COVID's part of that.
Big part.
Part of that. They got comfortable at home. Everyone started to enjoy it. COVID's a big part of that.
The work from home thing was necessary when it was.
Yeah.
Now it's...
Yeah, I do it. Every time someone from our company tries to do the work from home thing, or like whenever, because I'm saying, like, I'm already like, we're getting ready to buy a building, we're going to do this, so once we do that, like, we're going to have to move closer to me, like closer to whatever the building's at, whatever.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I can work from home. And I'm like, and I did the Elon Musk, like, you can pretend to work from home with someone else. We're not doing that.
Yeah.
Because, like, we have a girl who works from home for her job. And, like, so, like, I'll call her sometimes when she's working from home. Like, she doesn't do it every day, but sometimes she does. And I'll call her sometimes, and she's like, oh, I'm by the pool. I don't have my laptop near me. But when I get back to the... So I'm like, you're not working from home at all. You're hanging out by the pool. So you see why I'm not tolerating this whenever we get to the point that we have our building. I'm not doing this.
Like, I have learned in my brain, and it started in college. In high school, I was too straight-laced enough to, like, know any different. When I would go home, I would work on homework. Like, I would full-fledged do homework at home. And I just did not care. I mean, I was the nerd. I wanted to get all the grades done. When I get to college, I had to mentally put myself in the space of library time, study hall time at, in the given building where my classes were. In the fraternity house I lived in, we had study rooms. You go in your study room, block out the noise, try to avoid everybody else, crank stuff out. When I got to working, I started working at my first job, truly out of college, in the pandemic. When I went to work, though, it was so much more productive and easier than when I stayed at home trying to accomplish stuff, which I could, but it was a night and day shift when you go to the place where you set out to do what you are employed to do. Like, I'm totally with you. Like, that's the reason we have offices. That's the reason there is a building that you delineate from home, because home is home. You're not thinking about that other stuff.
Have you ever read the book Atomic Habits?
I've seen it and I need to read it, but I haven't read it.
100% need to read it.
Okay.
But one of the chapters, it talks about, like, you need to set each room in your house for a certain thing. And that's kind of basically what you just said, is when you go to the office, your brain clicks, I'm here to work, this is work, this is a workspace, it's working. So, like, if you, like, people who have insomnia, like, if you sit in your bed and you're in your bed and it's I get in there and I scroll on my phone, and then I might do some work, and then I watch TV or whatever. So your brain doesn't ever register, like, this is my bed for sleep. This is what I'm supposed to do for sleep. So if you set your bed or your bedroom up, as soon as I wake up, I'm out of here. Right? And I'm only coming back in here when I'm coming to sleep. Whether that's for a nap or at night, I'm only coming in here, back in here when I'm going to sleep. You feel me? And it changes the way your brain connects with that room. So now you kind of get tired when you go into this room. And I tell you, bro, the same thing happened with me and my diet. So the way my house is set up, I put a big TV in my kitchen. I had my workspace, like, at the dinner table, as well as where I would eat. And, like, I would forget to eat. Like, I would go a day or two and not eat because I would sit down and work. And, like, I would kind of, like, cook food and everything, but, like, I would cook it and then let it sit there because I would start working on my computer or something like that. But then we got an extra room in my house, so I turned that room into an office. And now it's completely different. Like, my work is completely different. Like, I'm getting so much more done. I'm more productive in that office room because my brain, as soon as I'm in there, clicks. And then eating wise, I don't forget to eat because now I'm able to set it up to, I go to each room every day. And it just kind of, steps like this. Are we recording?
Yeah, I was gonna say, are we recording?
We're recording.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, we've been recording.
Oh,
So let's do this. I know. My apologies. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate you guys joining us. I'm here with my boy Corbin Cowles. We're about to. Obviously, we're having a great conversation. We're just gonna continue. My apologies for not introducing him when we started. We just kind of sat down and started talking.
just hammered, man.
Yeah, it just keeps going. So. But thank you for joining me.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. Very humbled to have you. I'm excited for this. Obviously, this is about to be crazy.
I am too.
Yeah.
I am too, man.
I'm excited. So, anyways, but yeah. So, Atomic Habits, bro. That book is. I recommend that and The Power Now.
Okay.
Everyone, you should read those books. Those two books I read. So I started The Power of Now, like a week before my mom passed.
Mm-hmm.
And then I finished it like 2 weeks after because it was just so good. Like, it was so good. And it was the way because he does a great job of not only just like doing, so like I'm big on, when I talk to people about God, I'm big on, if you're not a Christian, I'm big on finding ways to make you believe the Bible without realizing I'm talking about the Bible.
Yes, sir.
And that's what a lot of people like Ed Milet and a lot of those guys they actually do. Like, if you actually listen to Ed Milet, 95% of the things he says are in the Bible, and people just don't pair the two
Pair it up
because they haven't read the Bible,
right.
So they don't know that. So I've been trying to work on that and do that, and this guy in the book does a phenomenal job of not only doing like the psychiatry
Sure.
and the like actual like brainness of it, but then he'll come back a few paragraphs later and be like, well, Jesus and the Bible and this, and it's phenomenal. So I recommend that book.
Love it
as well.
I'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll send you screenshots of that.
Please do.
If I was rich enough, I'd just buy the book and send it to you. I can't lie.
In time, man.
Yeah,
We're getting there.
Yes, sir. We're working.
Yeah.
So let's talk about college.
Sure.
You going to Oklahoma State.
Yes, sir.
How did that come about? Because I remember you announcing that you were going, and it was just kind of like, wow, like out of everywhere to go, Oklahoma State,
Yeah,
so
man.
far away from Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Yeah.
How'd that happen?
Crazy deal, Jacob. So obviously, born and raised and grew up right here. I mean, in South Central Kentucky. Both my parents went to WKU. Mom played basketball there. My grandparents had a small business in town. We were rooted, right? The flip side of what a lot of people that we went to school with did not know, some did, obviously, the ones that knew well enough situation, but on the flip side of the coin, from me playing sports growing up, was a love for agriculture and a passion for the farm. Our family's I'm now going on third generation farm right here in Warren County.
Okay.
And so it was either sports, basketball, football, baseball when I was younger. Quit that early on, but predominantly basketball and the farming life, and that was just it. I was big in FFA, 4-H, the ag organizations for youth, and so really, when we got done playing ball there my senior year, I had a small offer, a good one, but an offer to play NAIA basketball at Freed.
You were pretty good.
I was all right.
You were
Yeah,
pretty good.
yeah.
The size and stuff, you were pretty good. I have to say, like, I feel like the fact that we were at such a new school,
Yeah.
like, did a disservice to a lot of good athletes at our school.
It was very tough early on. Now South gets a ton of recognition.
Yeah,
a ton.
yeah.
I mean, and we sure still had some standouts even early, but like you say, I think our reputation, didn't develop till later. But in all that being said, I did get one good NAIA offer, but just deep down, I just decided that athletics was not going to take me to the end destination of where I thought I wanted to go. And so my love for agricultural way of life, that became what I wanted to study in college. And so back in that day, I mean, I just started scouring the internet over and over for more information. I started like 8th grade, 9th grade. I was looking up all I could find in terms of best agricultural programs in the country. And I'll never forget this because I think you probably got it too, but our senior year, our English teachers handed us back a letter we wrote to ourselves in 8th grade, or at least my class did. They had us write a letter to ourselves. And this actually happened near graduation time of senior year.
Okay.
And I'll never forget it. And in that letter from 8th grade me to senior me, I had a list of 5 schools narrowed down that I was thinking about going to when I was in 8th grade, and Oklahoma State was on that list. I visited it multiple times. I studied up on the academic program. I love the town. It reminded me so much of Bowling Green, almost a touch smaller.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Stillwater, Oklahoma is 55,000 people
Okay.
when school is in session.
Yeah.
And when school is not in session, it's like 30. It is
That's almost
half.
almost directly to Bowling Green.
Yes.
Like
yes.
that's because when WKU's in session, they add a crazy amount.
Yeah.
That's pretty close.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know that.
It fit almost identically
Okay.
into the lifestyle, and so I love the place. I love the school itself. I love what I was going to be able to get myself into.
Right.
So just dumb 17-year-old me had enough just stupid courage
Yeah.
to just pack myself up, and I moved 11 hours from home.
So, well, let's talk about that courage for
Yeah.
a second, because that's
Yeah.
deep. How did you? Because so like one of my favorite sayings is from Napoleon. Even though a lot of people don't like Napoleon.
Sure.
When he was like, in order to, or no, it might have been Christopher Columbus. I think it was Christopher Columbus, not Napoleon, where he was like, you'll never know if the world is circular if you don't have the courage to lose sight of the shore.
Yep.
You know, so like
Yeah.
that courage, how did that come about to want to take that leap? 'Cause that's a leap. Like, you know, there wasn't not a lot of people would have the courage to take that leap.
That's an awesome question too, because I've actually, truth be told, since I did that, it's been almost 10 years. I can't believe it's that much time's passed. We're old, man. But since that time, I've tried to do a lot of self-reflection as to what was it within me at 17 that did that. And man, best case I can come up with is just I owe a lot to my parents in terms of being supportive of it.
Right.
And they backed me 110, just in terms of take the leap of faith.
Right.
I mean, you can conquer the world if you want to. And that was, and so I give a lot directly to them about like instilling in me enough confidence that I had it within me to do such and make it very, very successful. And then I'll be honest, truth be told, the situation was sweetened by having a lot of friends that I developed from across the country.
Right, through FFA and stuff.
FFA, all my involvement with agricultural organizations. I did have several friends that either had attended, were still going to be there when I was there coming in.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Or freshman year, one of my best friends in the country was my roommate.
Oh yeah, that's fire.
It worked perfectly. So
that's fine. Building relationships is important.
It's a must.
It's important. That's so important.
The saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Oh yeah.
Especially after your time in education and getting your academic career, that is 100% about what life's about. You got to know some stuff. Who you know takes you so many places.
So many places.
Mm-hmm.
So what exactly did you get your degree in, and what exactly did you do down at Oklahoma State?
Sure. So I got my degree in animal science and a minor in agricultural economics. So I did that with the emphasis on animal agriculture and like studying all the various aspects that go into successful farming.
Yeah.
Compound that with my minor degree in agricultural economics, that gave me a business sense and view of the industries, of just what the ins and outs looks like on the money side, keeping the I'm so sorry.
You're good.
Call it back. But just keeping so getting an economic sense overall on a macro view of the agriculture industry, all that kind of good stuff. So it was a good blend. A lot of people that go into animal science automatically, people think they just want to go to vet school. I did not want to go to veterinary school. Although at one point, I got to tell you this too, at one point when I was in either elementary school or in just started middle school, I wanted to go to Auburn and be a vet.
Oof.
I know.
Yeah.
Fun fact, Auburn's got one of the best veterinary programs in the country.
Well, you know I'm a big Auburn man.
I knew you were.
Yeah. That's one of the biggest brags I say. I actually dated a girl in college. She went to Moorhead and she graduated with this and then she went to Auburn.
For vet school?
Yeah, she's there now.
Okay. Yeah. But so anyway, so I did not want to pursue that for my degree or my career. So I took a different path, just kind of getting the animal agriculture side of things, and then the economic view, so I could be more business minded and focused in terms of what I did with our farming operation back home, and then also career wise what I'd get into. So that's really what my academics looked like. I had a wildly good experience out there. Did a whole lot of different stuff with student involvement organizations. I was on the livestock judging team, which is basically evaluation of animals. And it's a very, to the outside view, it's a complex sort of process. But essentially, humble brag, I got to do it. Oklahoma State, for that evaluation teams of livestock judging, we're the most successful program in the country. So think in Alabama football or Kentucky basketball for livestock judging. So we won the national championship when I was there on the team.
Okay.
Yeah, in 2018.
Okay.
So huge, notch in the belt.
How'd you get into that? Like, so I don't know. Well, I have two. I'm gonna need you to break
Let's
it
go.
down.
Yeah.
And how'd you get into that?
Okay. Break it down, or how did I get into it? I'll start there. 4-H. I mean, literally through starting in those organizations young, they expose you to different opportunities, and that is a big one when it comes to like the contests and the different programs you can be involved in. Started learning from a young age. We had the animals. I wanted to know what animals were better than others. It just hopefully relates back. It was a big picture to real world practical things, and so the judging aspect allowed me to evaluate our own animals, but then also when they do contests and different competitions for livestock judging, I just started when I was young, 8, 9 years old. I just kept working my way up. I was high school state champion in Kentucky when I was in high school, went on and we were national champions when I was in college. So that's how I got started.
Yeah, that's fire.
Breaking it down.
Well, congrats.
Well, thank you.
National championship.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. It was awesome. It's not obviously as well known, but in the agriculture industry, it did carry and does carry a lot of weight for that honor. So
for sure.
But breaking it down, like I just said, it hopefully has more of a real world application to where we evaluate against the standard, like what we call the standard of what ideal animals need to be, and that's cattle, sheep, pigs, goats. Like those 4 species are the big 4 when it comes to animal ag.
Okay.
The only one we don't do that's big is obviously poultry, but that's a whole different deal.
Is there a reason why they don't do?
It's a little out. They're not exactly in line as the same type of competition or evaluation.
Okay. So like if you, I don't know if this is the case, but it's kind of like if you had a sheet for what you were evaluating, poultry would not kind of use the same questionnaire, I guess.
Correct.
Okay.
It's a totally different, and it's probably more to do with the difference in the industry.
Right.
Like in agriculture, those other 4 are a whole lot more similar than the poultry. Poultry is kind of just its own thing. Just between eggs, but then also meat production.
Okay. Right.
It's kind of way more dual purpose than what those others are.
Right.
So.
Okay, I'm with you now. I'm here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, so those 4 species I was talking about, you just you learn to evaluate them against the industry standard of what you want as most ideal, and then you just rock from there in terms of learning how to evaluate. It took me all across the country. I've been to Denver, Colorado, all the way down to let's see where else we go. Our national championship was actually in Louisville.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So we went.
That's gonna be a good feeling. Come back to your home state.
It's incredible.
Yeah, that's gonna be a crazy feeling.
It's incredible. It was awesome. So it took us all across the country. We traveled thousands and thousands of miles. We were very successful. Helped shape a lot of the opportunities I've had moving forward past college in that industry, in agriculture, for our farm, and as well as just a lot of other stuff. So.
That's cool, bro.
Yeah, so then I was also involved in a fraternity. Did that for a few years, gained tremendous relationships. And it's called Farmhouse. We had a farmhouse at Oklahoma State and agriculture-based fraternity.
Okay.
But I've got a multitude of fraternity brothers that are doctors, lawyers, financial advisors, literally you name it. Right. So everybody says you need a good doctor, a good lawyer, and a good accountant on your side, a good investment guy.
Have to.
I've got all three of those.
Yeah, lined up.
The Rolodex.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, that's fire.
Yeah.
Especially going to a big school like that.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? You're bound to run into some people, but the fact that they're also like in tune with agriculture and stuff will probably help you in the long run.
No doubt.
Big time.
No doubt.
That's fire. So now, what are you getting into now?
Totally. So, I currently work, and the ultimate goal is this is lifelong. I'm an auctioneer, and I work for a company called Schrader Real Estate and Auction, and we sell property, farm equipment, and heavy machinery, personal property auctions, like for people's homes and stuff, like when somebody's selling their estate.
Right.
And then that's all through our company is what we get to do. And then me and myself on my own enterprise, I get to auction benefit and charity events, livestock auctions, obviously, as part of that as well. We get to really hit all ends of the spectrum in terms of what we have the ability to merchandise. And it's the best. I mean, I've loved every second of it since I've gotten in. God's perfect timing reigns supreme, and the way I got back into this is I've always had a passion for the auction business.
Mm-hmm.
We at home with our farm, we do auctions every year for our own cattle, merchandise them and sell them to the public, and we do that every year. So I had always been growing up around it and been very comfortable the older I get with it, just loved it. Everybody knows an auctioneer is just that fast talking guy that, it's loud, and then you got everybody yelling out when people are bidding and everything like that. There's so much that goes into it though, but the general premise is that's what everybody knows it about, or knows it by. So that always caught my attention and intrigued me so much. Then when I was in FFA at South in high school, I said one day, I was like, you know what? I want to do the auctioneering contest at the FFA competitions.
Okay, yeah.
FFA had an auctioneering contest there at our local field day. And so I did. And our ag teacher, Mr. Dalton, said, if you're going to do this, I'm going to get you hooked up with some help before we get in. And a local auctioneer gave me a few tutoring sessions. He helped me practice 2 or 3 different times, and he helped me develop my rhythm and my chant and all the things that go into making a successful auctioneer. I wasn't very good at all at the time.
Well, who's good the first time to do anything?
Exactly. I was 15, 16 years old. I at that point I didn't know nothing about what it took, but I got 3rd place in the contest.
That's fine. Gave you some confidence and stuff.
100%. And
that was that courage again,
mm-hmm.
to step out there and try that.
Just do it.
Yeah.
It's like I told myself I want to do it. Now make it happen.
Yeah.
And so it did. And so I didn't win nothing major, but the 3rd place I did gain that confidence, and I was like, man, I love that. And in the back of my mind, at one point I was thinking, could this be my life at some point? But at the time I was 16 years old. All this other stuff between sports, what have you, are all on the front of your mind. I was just kind of put it off, right? So continue to go throughout my time, go to college, and then I come out of college, and I went to UK actually to get a master's and actually coach the livestock judging team at University of Kentucky.
Okay.
And I walked into that in the fall of 2019. Pandemic hits.
Yeah.
Within the first year I'm there.
Yeah.
Wrecked it all between my academic studies, me coaching, doing all the program I was supposed to be there for, just ruined it. So at that point, everybody moves back home with the fam. You know what I mean? Everybody's back home with their parents and different people, as most all of us experienced at that point. And I was just like, I don't want to go back and pursue grad school. I mean, this is going to be terrible. Just with the way the world had set up at that point. Nobody knew anything.
Yeah.
No guarantees. And so I ended up actually taking a job with a commercial insurance company. I was a sales associate for an insurance firm. And did that for a couple years. It sure treated me well enough. But I mean, just knowing this was one of those deals that after the honeymoon phase wore off, like, did I really love it?
Yeah.
Well, all throughout that time, I maintained a really great friendship with one of my buddies from college at Oklahoma State. And he kept telling me his family, owned and operated this auction company. I'd met his family, love those people. They're phenomenal. They're from Indiana, actually, is where the company was or is. And one thing led to another just over time. And and like I said, God's perfect timing sent me right back to, you loved auctioneering from the beginning.
Yeah.
This is an opportunity to capitalize on what you were passionate about at the time and still are passionate about. You do it on a day in, day out basis. Take the leap.
Yeah.
Take the jump.
For sure.
And so did it. And that's the company I work for now.
Right.
So it all just worked in its perfect timing the way it should. Only regret wish I hadn't started sooner. But as we were talking earlier, when COVID came around, it rocked everybody's world. So it just all meshed as it should have. Just at the time, it was very difficult to see.
Yeah.
But hindsight 2020, I wouldn't change it.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
No, that's right. God makes no mistakes.
None.
He makes no mistakes.
He's undefeated.
Makes no mistakes. And it's kind of crazy because I just had the same realization a few months ago. It was probably back in like March or so, because we've been doing this for about a year and a half now. And like I have plans to do like, I want to do like a day in the life videos of like not just my athletes, but like of athletic directors or like people who put on like sporting events and operation people, because they go through so much in a week, and like and no one gets to see it, or like trainers or equipment managers and all that stuff for sports. And I came to a realization that I used to sit on YouTube and watch like locker room tours and stuff like that all the time, and I was just kind of like, bro, like, it's funny how like you've been interested in this, and like this has been something, and I would get frustrated at 15, 16 because there wasn't good enough content on this stuff, and that's what I wanted to see. And now I'm trying to do that, and it's kind of like, it's like crazy how God puts that in you at an early age, and you don't even realize like what He's doing that for, like later down the road.
It's like, store this away. We'll come back to it.
Go build yourself up, and I promise we're gonna. But God makes no mistakes.
None.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's so crazy. So, I actually had a few more questions, but I'll get back to them. But so the question, like I said earlier, that I ask everybody every episode is, what is the hardest thing you've been through in your life, and what did you do to like the steps, the process, just everything in between.
So. Tying this, and that's a loaded question depending on perspective of what you want to take it. But one of the hardest things I've ever done was just what we were just talking about, and following this passion for my career in the auction business, because there has not been a single person in my family ever that has ever done this.
Right.
This was solely what I felt called to do and want to do, and make it my own. And so I'm taking this leap of faith 100% myself, with no guidance from anybody in my immediate circle
Right.
that knew the industry. Now, obviously, I've been hugely blessed with my company and the people I work with, but like, going out of the comfort zone of the job I was in, and stability, and it just kind of became routine. It was extremely uncomfortable on the front end to tell myself, you're going to be doing the right thing. You are doing the right thing. This is what you have always wanted to do. Be bold enough to take it. And so, I mean, and like I said, I'll just remember, I remember my dad telling me this, as he said, all kind of the things I'd done previous, he had some guidance and wisdom because he'd either been there, very familiar with it. He told me, he said, you're doing something that I've never ever been involved with, or know really anybody well enough to know what it's been involved with. He said, you're doing this on your own.
Yeah. And
so that was kind of one of those realizations of, okay, this is mine to make what I want it to be.
Yeah.
So that just at the time felt like a monsoon and a wave coming at me, but working through it and building, going right back to what we talked about earlier, hugely important in this business is, number one, your faith, and knowing that and trusting God's got the process in his hand. Number two, relationships, and digging in and grinding and being there, talking to all the right people, being present where you need to be present to capitalize on your moment. It's one of the biggest things I've learned, is that you're the only one that's going to have your own back.
No
You got to look out. What's that?
No one's coming to save you.
You got to look out for you.
Yeah.
And not in an arrogant way, but in a hungry and humble way.
Right.
To where you have to build yourself up.
Right.
And convince people why you are best suited to help them in their own journey, and provide your service, and you're the best fit. And so, I mean, and it's been a huge blessing so far for the success I've had. But I mean, you can never shake enough hands, and you can never know enough people.
Right.
And so, yeah, so I mean, that's what I've been doing to try to rock with it and process through, is just continue to grind, continue to stay positive within myself, and just continue to hopefully capitalize on every opportunity that comes in my path. Whoever it is I'm meeting, if a mutual friend sets us up to talk about business and be able to see if I can help them with that opportunity, just leave no stone unturned.
Right.
That's been huge,
right.
and something truly I've had to train myself to make sure I'm doing every time.
Right. Create the habit and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. Like before I was really involved to this level with this business, and in college and everything, it's easy to maybe overlook or I don't want to use the word misstep, but overlook a potential opportunity you can capitalize on. When you're in the real world and this is your job and your business, you capitalize on every chance you get.
Yeah.
And so that's been the biggest thing I've been learning within myself and trying to use it to help build, is just capitalizing every chance I get to work with people and help people, use my talents and my God-given ability to create the best outcome for them. So that was a very long, convoluted answer. So
that's 1,000. That's 1,000. Can you give that list you gave again?
Was that
the list you gave again? Like when you said,
yeah, just trust God's got the process.
Yeah.
And what I say is number two, but basically just you never meet a stranger, essentially. And then three is look out for yourself.
Yeah.
And in a humble and hungry way, but look out for yourself and take advantage of every opportunity you can get.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. That's for sure. I don't, no, yeah, bro. Hold on, I have to take that in for a second, because that's crazy. taking that just. But I'm just admiring, like, your courage is so admirable, and so like I give you so much props for that, cause like that's what, like we were talking earlier, like that's what's missing is like courage and like just take the risk.
Sure.
Like step out there, don't be afraid. Like you might be, and you know you kind of, I don't know if you hear it like from like people who like millionaires and stuff all the time. And they're like, you know, there's always that one in the family that really comes along and just changes the whole lineage and trajectory of the family.
Yeah.
You know, but it comes from having the courage to step out there and do that. You gotta have the courage to do that. And it's not like your family was like, oh, why don't you come do this? Just just work on our farm and do that. Like they were supportive and all that, and it helps. So that's fire.
100%. And I appreciated you saying that, and a couple of comments about that question or about what you just said, because it all intertwines in the process. But since what I was telling you earlier about my journey of going to Oklahoma State and what it took me to get there at 17 years old to make that decision and go,
right,
I felt like along the journey, just with life in general, once you get older, there's so many more questions you have to answer and things pop up about life. And so I felt like I truly have started to feel like that getting in this business and starting my own venture and just taking off from the ground up and just trying to build, I'm finally back to feeling that same ounce of courage that I felt in that 17-year-old kid going 11 hours to school.
Yeah.
And it's been huge. I mean, and you know, obviously with a lot of faith and hope and prayer, it'll continue to stay on the right trajectory. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy what people can do when they take that one leap that scares them. Because I'll be flat honest with you, from a place of vulnerability, for a long time there, between them young years and now where I'm at now, I was very gun shy when it came to doing anything outside the comfort zone. Like, my comfort zone was really sweet to me. I mean, I was like in it. I knew what I was maybe good at,
right,
and I was really comfortable rocking right there. But I wasn't very good about stepping out here and figuring something else out. Like, I wasn't about that. And then, but finally I just learned that fortune favors the bold, and life is about what you make it, and it's not always staying comfortable. And I never understood that from people when everybody would say that. And I think that's what a big thing about being young and growing up and learning in your own format. I never understood that until you're in it.
Right.
Like,
Wait. You didn't understand which part.
Nothing good happens in your comfort zone.
Right.
You got to step outside your comfort zone. Like, everybody says that.
Right.
But at the time, you don't process that, and you don't like, well, what's that tangibly look like?
Yeah.
Well, now hindsight 2020 again, it makes a lot of sense. So.
For sure.
And then, like you just said, the supportive family has been key and huge. Like you say, they have totally been about me taking steps and being bold, being in the right direction. Yeah, they're very supportive when I've got an idea, when I get an idea, and just rocking with it, whether it was college all the way up to present day. So,
what are your big future goals, plans?
Big future goals.
Yeah.
I would love to be able to become extremely successful within this entity in my business. Be one of the well-renowned auctioneers in the country. Just to be quite frank, is a big lofty goal, while still hopefully excuse me, while still hopefully preserving a sense of life on the farm.
Okay.
It's a big thing right now, and family farmers are kind of dying off by the generation.
Yeah, I was headed to
Okay.
ask you some questions about that.
Perfect. Hopefully segue in. But anyways, maintain our farm, have that connection back to our family's heritage, while also hopefully maintaining a really successful business side. And then, truth be told, just one of these random things I really want to do. I'm getting to the point where I'm so fascinated with it. I want to own about 8 or 10 rental houses.
Yeah.
It's part of my wife's kind of what I'm working towards is did that in college with my sister.
Okay.
Bought a house, lived in it, then rented it out post our graduation, and you know, it turned out to be a good investment at the time, just with the way everything's been trending. And so I know not everything's gonna be roses and daisies,
Right.
but that worked, and so I'm kind of fascinated with that. I just think it's another one of those parts of life that if you can tap into it, it's pretty good. So
Yeah, one of my best friends, he's big into real estate.
Sure.
I'm gonna have to connect you guys.
please,
Yeah, he does that all the time.
yeah,
He's big into it, loves it.
Sure.
He has a duplex that he does. He rents out the other side and gets
Yeah.
his side kind of paid for. Yeah,
it's
I'll have to connect you guys.
It's the perfect way to do life
Yeah.
with those duplexes for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, he eats it up. He does day and night real estate. Like he works in the athletic department and
Yeah.
stuff, but he loves real estate.
I like that. I like that.
He
Yeah.
loves real estate. So my question, I was gonna ask you a lot about like small farmers and
Mhm.
stuff. 'Cause you and I talked before about how I started doing the whole like getting my meat straight from farmers and all like
Absolutely.
Kroger and all that stuff. But have you seen Super Size Me 2?
No, I'm
The
not.
second one, you should watch the second one. It's
Okay.
about like chicken.
Yes.
And like Tyson chicken and like
Yep.
the whole way all that's set up. I didn't know that was like that. That documentary messed me up because
Yeah.
that was crazy what they're
Yeah.
doing to farmers
Yeah.
and the setup that they have.
Yeah.
And going back to what we were saying earlier, small business farming is the most important part of our country.
Yes, sir.
And the industrialization of our food is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I can get behind, so like people who go vegan, I can get behind like not wanting to kill an animal in the industrialized way. Cause that's like, it's not, like that's, like I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah.
But like real like cows, like out there in the pasture and like I can get behind that.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what we have to get back to. But that takes people understand like local farmer markets and understanding like we can't go to Kroger to get our meat. So you need to go to the farmers to get your meat. And chances are you're gonna get better meat that way anyway.
100%. So yeah, I mean and there's such a catch-22 with everything in life, but like this is for sure that way. So boy, we can go down a couple hour rabbit hole on that, but we got the mics in front of us, right?
Listen, I don't shy away from
Yeah?
from things. I don't shy away from things. I don't have an ounce of cowardness in my body.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? I don't shy away from things.
So yeah, so like you were talking, so what you just laid out there has, I think, totally been driven by the explosive growth of population.
Yeah.
and the world, the U.S. more specifically. Yeah, so I mean, a lot of the time we've had these big four, is what we call them, that are the animal protein producers for the country. Excuse me, for the country. And the way this came about in a roundabout fashion was as industry and the Industrial Revolution came along and started to boom early 1900s, and cities just exploded even more. Factories and all this other stuff started popping up. A ton of land all throughout the U.S. was gobbled up for business and buildings and expansion of cities and all that. And so just as we've trended in the country, multiple things. Those families originally that started working in those factories sold farms and moved into the city. Over time, those kids and the generations after did not understand the way of life on the farm, and that's continued on. We have had a scenario develop here, more specifically probably the last since the 70s, because there was a massive farm crisis in the 70s. When interest,
I didn't know that.
yeah, there was a huge situation where interest rates skyrocketed, and into the 80s, really, I think too. That interest rates skyrocketed. The economy wasn't good under, I believe that was President Carter. I've got something in my throat. Excuse me.
It
Wow.
caught me earlier. There gotta be something in there.
I know.
It caught me earlier.
But I believe it was under Jimmy Carter's presidency that the economies kind of went sideways, and so forced us into some major situations. A ton of farmers lost their land at that point because of interest rates and things with the economy that tanked their operations, and they're forced to sell. That stuff got gobbled up too, and so we've developed into a system a lot of times where the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, and you either get bigger or smaller when it comes to farms.
Yeah.
So now we're actually currently at the point. This is baffling, but less than 1% of the United States works in production agriculture.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And that's not just animals. That's row crop and everything, producing your corn and other parts of the food chain that you need. We've got like less than 1% of the country that's involved really in agriculture, and
That's terrible.
yeah, I mean, and so less than 1 out of 100 people feeds the other 99.2 or whatever we're down to now. So yeah,
That's
one guy is feeding another 99 people in the country.
a crazy stat line.
Mm-hmm. So it's become a degradation over time into this scenario where the rich are getting richer, big are getting bigger, and then the smaller are kind of dying off. And yeah, so but back to your question, I still think there's a hope, because the pandemic wave, I think actually we saw a propelled re-energizing of local when supply chain started becoming the hot button and everybody was starting to think of alternative sources. It's been really a not just a fad, that a lot of local producers have seen a tremendous amount of growth.
I think COVID woke a lot of people up to a lot of realities in the world.
Oh yeah.
You didn't really have a choice as you're
Right.
sitting there. Well, I mean, you had a choice. So like, I've always been big on telling people you got to choose education over entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
And I think COVID really separated a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember listening to Eric Thomas during COVID, and it changed the whole way I was handling COVID. And he was like, during this time that you're sitting at home, there's going to be people who come out of this at a different level than where they were when they went in.
Sure.
And you can choose to be at a higher level, or you can choose to be on a lower level.
Yeah.
And I think there was a good amount of people who chose to be on a high enough level that it started to trickle down to other people, and it's like a mass awakening to a lot of things that are going on in our country. And the agriculture one and the farming is one big one.
Yeah, no doubt.
Like a massive one, and it's one that we needed.
Mm-hmm.
Like a big one that we needed, like a massive one that we needed. I've always loved farmers, and like I couldn't do it, so I have so much respect for farmers, because I couldn't do it. The waking up early, just to go out there and plot on the land and do all that. And you know me, I wake up early, I work out, I'm with all that.
All the time.
But to do that, I don't think I could do it. So I have the utmost respect for farmers. And like you said, they feed my family,
right?
Like legitimately. So like we have to put like respect on farmers, and we need to like respect them more and bring them back for sure.
And I think, and again, it's really nice of you to say. I mean, it's we used to always say it's just a straight labor of love, and a lot of times it is, because if you saw the economic breakdown, like I was talking earlier, part of my education background was kind of seeing all this stuff from a big level. If you see the breakdown of kind of how the money trail is when it comes to agricultural products, the producers on the front end, the ones raising your product, whether it's the corn or other vegetables or even your animal protein, the producers are actually getting paid the least. There's the least amount of returnable margin to the producer side of agriculture as a whole.
Yeah.
The closer you get to the consumer, the more money is being made.
Right.
Like your retailers are actually dollar for dollar, and amount of money they've got tied up into it, the retailers are making the most money on a margin basis. So anyway,
It's like a wholesale upscale
essentially.
kind of thing. Yeah.
Essentially, and so farmers are really loving this think local wave.
Yeah.
Because it's putting a lot of emphasis back on what they do, and it really reconnects the uninformed population that isn't sure about how agriculture, practices are in general. We're seeing a massive wave of education where people are understanding a whole lot more. Where does my state come from?
Yeah.
And so, our family actually throughout this process got so much interest and excitement from this. We started our own brand of beef product.
Oh, okay.
So that's what we sell off the farm.
Yes, sir.
We have our own USDA certified brand of beef program.
That's fire.
Yeah.
That's fire.
Looking to build a retail front here over the next little bit, and then sell at the local farmers market as well. So
that's fire. I wish you luck on that.
Appreciate it.
I want to, and any way I can help out, be a part of that. I would love to.
Yeah, man.
Help you guys. That's so. Yeah, we need more of that.
Yeah, it would be awesome. Once we get it up and rolling, let's link back up and do some more talking about it, because that's our biggest thing is we love telling somebody every bit of the step.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we care for this animal from the day it's born.
Yeah.
Just like a human, we don't give them drugs unless they are sick.
Yeah.
I mean, they need medicine just like a human does when they're sick. Other than that, they live their life, just
freely.
Happy and ready to go.
Yeah.
And as we believe, obviously, God intended them on earth to be, they're here for our production and our use and our purpose, to help sustain us. So it's been a really good way, like you said, though, to work with people and just re-inform them and re-engage about the truth and what really goes on. So, yeah.
On another note, I think education is how we fix the rich are getting richer and the poor are staying poorer.
Yes, sir.
So, like, I'm big on, once again, education over entertainment in your free time and learning. Because I don't ever do, like, racism and, like, all that stuff. It's an information thing, right? Like, it's like back in, like, the 60s, 50s, redlining, all that stuff. Like, it had an impact. But, like, you have that iPhone in your hand. You have the internet. You have whatever. So, like, if you choose to watch Netflix instead of read books or do whatever, then that's not you.
It's on you.
That's on you. And rich people aren't letting their kids do that. And like that's what the difference is. And like, I get it. They have an advantage because their parents are rich, so they know it and blah blah blah. But it's like at a point, you as a human have to decide. I'm going to put my foot in the ground, draw a line in the sand, and I'm going to not let my family be on this side of it.
Sure.
I'm going, once again, I'm going to be the one in the family to make a difference and start understanding the way how the rich are getting richer.
Yeah.
Because the information is out there how they're doing it.
No doubt.
Of course they're hiding it. Of course they're not chanting, the tax code, you can legal tax evasion. You know what I'm saying? They're not chanting that. But
no, they're not.
You can Google the tax code today and read it.
And learn about it yourself.
Learn about it yourself. I did it. I've read it twice. Like, for me, I understand it almost. I was just connecting with an accountant on Saturday. I was at a men's Christian conference down in Georgia, and I was sitting next to a guy. He's been an accountant for 15 years, and he was just in awe that I was in 25, and I kind of understood it. And him and I could. He was like, man, like that's crazy. Like I struggle with like business owners who are like 32, 37, 40. That I still have to do all the. And I'm like, I was like. I just at a certain point it just clicked with me eventually they are getting richer, and I'm either going to complain about it or I'm going to find a way to fix it, or I'm going to find a way to fix it for myself. And I would say the only thing for me is I'm big on service of people, so I just can't fix it for me. I have to help other people figure this out as well.
Pass it on.
You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of why we started doing what we're doing as an organization and business, is because I want to help the people from over here get to over here. Because there's no reason why you can't.
Right.
There's no reason. I don't believe there's anything yet that's truly stopping you from getting here to here.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of you willing to put in the work and get the information and take the steps and make the sacrifices And that's one of the key words is sacrifices. And that's kind of like what I love about the Bible is in the Bible, almost every story, there's a sacrifice made somewhere from the life that someone was living in the past. They made a sacrifice, they changed their life, and everything changed. And everything changed. And I think we have to have a mass of that in order to the rich not to get richer as much anymore. Because the whole during the pandemic when they gave out the checks,
stimulus checks.
Yeah. Everyone, you bought Jordans with that. So yeah, the rich got richer during this because they gave you your tax money back that you had already spent and gave to them. And then you went and gave it back to them again. Because you bought shoes and you bought clothes and you bought cars and you bought all this stuff that they produced. Instead of investing it in yourself and starting a business and starting this and then going to school and doing this. So you know what I'm saying? We have to re-educate people on how this system actually works.
Your point, though, I think was so spot on, is the people have lost the sense of taking it upon themselves.
Yeah.
Like they have absolutely lost the sense of initiative.
Oh yeah, self-initiative is gone.
Gone.
Yeah.
And I'll be quite honest with you, like I kind of feel like, and again, we can look back in 5, 10, 15 more plus years and reevaluate where our stances are on this now, but like taking the leap of faith to hopefully build my brand with my company and the job I'm in and making this my lifelong career. I feel like that's one of the biggest things that like my family instilled in me through tying it all back together, life on a farm where other things are depending upon you, living things are depending upon you to get the job done, do all your responsibilities, take care of everything. That drive and self-initiative all started through the agricultural way of life for us. And I feel like that's one of the biggest things our family instilled in us. And I'm talking parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents is that basically showing up these days, it beats 90% of everybody else that's out there. And it really wasn't a choice that me and my sisters were ever just going to sit on our butts and do nothing.
Yeah.
It was something.
Oh yeah, something.
All the time.
Yeah, my dad's the same way.
So that I honestly feel like revisionist history and learning from looking back like that is truly what a lot of people are missing these days, and something I'll always be thankful to them for.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel sorry for the people that never were taught that and don't understand that. And so, I think you're just spot on with all that though, man, because there is steps to be laid out and steps that can be achieved by anybody that wants to get there, but it's a lot of it's on them.
Yeah.
And so
it's almost all on you.
So you're dead on with that.
Yeah. People like you can meet people who can help you open up doors and put you in an environment and do all that kind of thing. But if you're not ready when you get put in that environment, if you're not solid enough in your own belief in yourself, if you're not confident enough, if you're not understanding the language, if you're not all these little things that you have to do before you even get into that room. Otherwise you're gonna waste the opportunity. Right? You can sit there and beg and plead for the door to open, but what are you gonna do when it opens? Are you gonna be ready for it when it opens? And that's what you have to start at a young age of getting ready to do. Yeah. So you had great parents for that. You know what I'm saying? Yes. And I had great parents for that. And I'm trying to be a great dad like that. So like with my son, like it's every day we set a standard, and then the next day we set it a little higher.
Yes, sir.
Whatever we did yesterday is fantastic. Love you, son. Tomorrow we're gonna get a little better though. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it's gotta be. That's what it's gotta be. Yeah. 100%. No, you have great parents for that.
Yes, I'm very thankful.
And one of the things that there's a few words that you use. Accountability, responsibility is a big one. Having responsibility at a young age. And then the biggest one was understanding that other people or other living things were depending on you.
Mm-hmm.
So like we had a coach, Coach Hughes, when we were in high school, and one of the things he said to me, because I didn't care about my grades in high school. I didn't care. Like I kind of always understood what high school was. High school to me was just a big factory to make me try to follow rules. Like just because you got straight A's doesn't mean you're smart. It just means you showed up in class and you did the busy work that they told you to do. And I'm not dissing anybody who got straight A's. Like congrats to you, you worked hard. Like you just congrats. But like to me, I just kind of as soon as I realized all this homework was not actually gonna make me learn anything, it was just busy work, I just kind of was yeah, I'm over this.
Sure.
But one of the things he always said to me that kind of at least made me at minimum get C's was, this is not about you, it's about your kids. Like this is about your future family's life. This is about your future wife. This is not about you. You have to lose you. And one of the things that I think that I'm personally pushing, and one of the things that drives me the most, is service for other people. Like that's why I get out of bed every day, especially nowadays, is for other people. Like people don't know, like the daily real ones I know, like people don't realize like the daily real ones low key are what make sure that hold me accountable.
Yes, sir. Because
now these people are waiting. Yeah, so many people, bro, I need this today. This one hit today. Like, bro, you helped me like today. Like I was about to do this, but now because you sent me that, I was motivated. I was something like, bro, like you guys don't understand now. To me, so like some people when they get in this position, they start to like get full of themselves.
Right.
To me, it humbles me every day, and I'm like, all right, now I know I got people depending on me, so I gotta get better every day.
Yes, sir.
Like I said, set a standard yesterday. Tomorrow the standard's gonna get higher, and doing that in a sense of service. But when you stop putting yourself first, you'll change your life. You know what I'm saying? When you put the people you love and people you run into, and like yes, you have to take care of yourself, like you said earlier. Like you have to take care of yourself, but like when you start understanding putting people first, but the sky's the limit for you.
Totally.
The sky's the limit for you, because if you think about it, but that's what a job is. Like when you start a career, you start a new business, you're doing a service to people.
Yeah.
Right. So whenever you can start to understand that about life is about servicing other people.
Yeah. Your
life will change. Like it will change so fast, and that's part of the reason our country, once again, is where we're at. So many selfish, narcissistic people that just care about themselves, and it's easy to stay in bed today because it's about me. I care about my feelings, and I don't have to take care of anybody else. It's easy for me to quit a job and complain and say the other person was this or whatever because it's about me. It's easy for me to sleep and get high all day because it's about me. It's easy for, you know what I'm saying? So you have to get rid of that because it's not about you
at all.
It's not about you.
No, and I should have. Yeah, and you're totally right. I mean, the Bible commands us to serve others, and I should have clarified. Only hopefully within the context of business when we look out for ourselves first to be successful. But no, you're exactly right. I mean, and truly, we just had a lesson about this on Sunday. Is that, I mean, it is more blessed to give than to receive. And truthfully, just on a basic humanity level, you feel better about yourself and think you're, hopefully establishing a bigger purpose in giving than receiving. So I totally am right there with you. Our attitude when it comes to service is depleted, just like most everything else, and it takes a grassroots effort of trying to hopefully just make people wake up.
Yeah. Wake
up to the bigger picture as to why we do, like why we need this. Thanks. I mean, why? I mean, that's the other thing, is that so many people in today's time aren't receptive to it, to even want to know and learn and grow from it. So sometimes your message is falling on deaf ears, but those that will take it and run with it, that's just what we got to do, is just inform them and help teach them like we were taught.
Thanks.
Hopefully. So.
Thanks. Shame on us if we don't.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Shame on us if we don't. And I tell people, if you want to, because the biggest, like even on my hardest days, like you said, when I show gratitude and service others, I feel so good. Even on my hardest days, that's how I still smile. Because I did something good for somebody. Even if it's the slightest, hold the door for somebody. They tell me thank you. We have a mini conversation, and you can kind of just see on their face, like me having this conversation with them and being smiling. And like, so like one of the craziest things to me is like when people ask me, like in Georgia, people in Georgia, I hate coming here to Kentucky. People here don't talk to you. But people in Georgia, it's always, hi, how are you doing?
Everyone on
but so friendly. And it's, when I started, so there's like a few different things that I've done that is really, that gets people off guard every time. They're like, wow, I love that. So one thing I do is, one, I say I'm amazing. Even if I'm not, I'm saying I'm amazing. Because I mean, truly, I'm amazing. Like, if you really look at the life that we live, we're amazing. And which also brings me to the next thing I say. When people ask me how I am or what's going on, no complaints. I have no complaints. Today might not have been exactly what I wanted to be. Things might not have gone the way I wanted. No complaints.
No complaints.
I woke up with a roof over my head, in a bed. I opened my fridge. A lot of people don't even have fridges. A lot of people don't have roofs. A lot of people don't have beds. A lot of people have to worry about cars blowing up in the streets next to them. A lot of people, bombs getting put into their house, where they're gonna eat later, if they even get to eat later, right? I don't have any of that. So no complaints. No complaints at all. And those are the things that shock people. Like, they're like, whoa, is that really what he just said? Like, he's amazing? Like, you're truly I'm amazing. I'm amazing, yeah.
And that mindset can totally change everybody's way of thinking.
Yes, sir.
If they are willing and able to understand that.
Yeah, facts. Because then you don't sit there, woe is me, this and this. No, you're looking at what you do have. And like, when I sit there and look at people who don't like God or trust God, it's because you sit there and you look at all the things that God hadn't done for you. Because it's what you want. But like, why don't you take a second, stop and look at what God has done for you? Because I promise you, he's probably done a lot more than what you think he has. You just choose not to choose gratitude.
That's right.
You're not choosing to show gratitude and thankfulness for what you do have.
Sure.
For me, whatever it is. And everyone's different. And everyone, like, I get it. Like, life happens. Life is lifing. You know what I'm saying? You have hardships and things happen, but I promise you, you still have a lot of great things going on for you.
That's right.
A lot of great things for you. So it's just a matter of your perspective and how you choose to look at them.
And by the way, I've got Georgia on my Mount Rushmore states. One of my favorite places in the country.
I've slept on it until I moved down there.
Yeah.
I don't see myself leaving. I can't.
It's
lie.
awesome.
Yeah, it
awesome.
really is. It really is.
It's a great place.
I'm up like 30 minutes northwest of Atlanta.
Yeah.
Up in like Marietta, Kennesaw, where Kennesaw State is.
Been there drove through there many times.
But I don't know if I'm leaving.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll probably, like, big dream, I have like businesses, like we'll do like regional offices, and like I'll probably have a few houses here and there. But like, my main office,
You're
and like
right there.
but I don't know if I'm leaving. I really don't. Like, I really don't. The people there are amazing. I like the small business atmosphere. There's a lot of restaurants. Like, yeah, they still have like McDonald's and like Wendy's, but it's not like, you know, here in Bowling Green, they had a chance to expand and really do some things, and they built a third Chick-fil-A.
I saw that.
You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of like, that's not what we should have done.
Yeah.
You know, that's not what we should have done. We should have done something different. Someone should have brought a local chicken, like, even if it is another chicken, but let's do like someone please start a local chicken something or other. You know, and it's like, yeah, we gotta but yeah, that's why I like Georgia, or where I'm at. But that's what it is. But it's just local mom and pops everywhere.
Good people.
Yeah, yeah, but don't get me started on that. Don't get me started on that. It's a different. Me and Brandon were just talking about this because he was out in California for a week, and he was just like, man, it's so different. And he was just like, whenever I talk to people, they're looking at me funny because I'm like, yeah, but. And I was like, right, and if you never went to, because he's basically down, because, you know, we're doing all this stuff, he's basically down there for weeks at a time, whatever. Yeah. And it's like, well, if you never would have went down there, you would have never known the difference. Exactly. Never known the difference. It would have just been normal to you, that like how you grew up in Kentucky, because people in Kentucky don't do that, at least here. Like, it's crazy, but it's kind of like, because Tennessee is kind of split.
Mm-hmm.
Like Nashville, they don't really do it, but like Knoxville, friendly. People are so nice there, and it's kind of crazy how like you kind of like cross the border, and it's just like
a whole nother world.
But what? And it's just as simple as I went into a gas station right past the border a few weeks ago when I was coming up here. And it was just crazy how the difference is between the gas station that I went to in Georgia.
Yeah.
The smiles, people holding the door for you, just how you doing today, how you doing, brother, you look good. Wow. It's just so different. So different. And I'm trying to, even though I'm not here all too crazy often, but the days that I'm here, I try to make a freaking point to start doing that.
Yeah.
So it might catch on because people in Kentucky like to call themselves the South, but Southern hospitality is the real thing. Yeah, and they don't have no idea what that is.
I know.
No idea what that is.
Yeah.
But another thing that just popped in my head, because every time I talk about Southern hospitality, I think about football tailgating. Mm-hmm. Did you get to do a lot of that at Oklahoma State?
Yeah, we had a pretty good tailgating scene. I mean, just being objective.
Yeah.
It doesn't rival Athens, Tuscaloosa, Auburn, Knoxville, but somebody put a poll up or some chart. It showed us we were like 30th in the country or something in terms of ranking. I tell you what, if we want to chase another rabbit hole, I saw a ton of awesome athletic events when I was in college, including, and tailgating for football was awesome. But I mean, that was a very good perk of being out there was the athletics were high standards. Yeah. So it was good.
Especially with the last few years with football.
Yeah.
They've had some good years in football since you've been there.
Yeah, it was
Mike Gundy's done his thing over there.
He's a man. He's 40. I'm just kidding. But my freshman year, it was crazy. We went 10-0 to start the year, and then fumbled the bag a little bit at the end. Lost to Baylor, lost to OU. And then,
but that Civil War is probably lit every year.
Oh, we call it Bedlam.
Oh, not Civil War. Civil War is
Oregon State.
Yeah.
The other
O's,
Bedlam, yes.
Yours is Bedlam.
So we call it Bedlam. My freshman year, I got introduced in an ugly way. I mean, we got ran. But then we played Ole Miss in the Sugar Bowl, and that was the team in 2015 that all those NCAA investigations came out about.
Oh yeah, with the strippers and stuff.
Those players.
Yeah.
We got our bell rung, but then they obviously were illegally recruited or whatever. So, team should never happen, but it did. But anyways.
Yeah, they were nice though.
They were so nice. They were incredible.
I can't even lie though. The day Hugh Freeze got fired from there, I was so ready for him to come to Auburn.
And now he finally is
there.
He's
there. But he okay. They got some strippers.
Little extra money.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a very Christian man, and he's with that. And, like, I can, you feel me? Like, I don't do the whole, like, oh, he's on my side, so I'm just going to ride. No, you're wrong for that. You're wrong for that. It was illegal. You shouldn't have done it. As a Christian man, you shouldn't have came anywhere near those strippers. You're wrong for that. But let's not act like that man's not a winner.
He's a winner.
Like, at the end of the day, he's a winner. So,
super good.
if you're going to leave the strippers alone, you can come to Auburn.
That's right.
Come to Auburn, right? Come to Auburn. Don't get us in trouble.
Yeah.
Come to Auburn, though. And he's starting to see. He's starting to make some noise. We done got some recruits. Like, I was telling someone the other day, because if he's an Alabama fan, and I was showing him, like, we got a 5-star who's already verbally committed.
Yep.
And then we got a 4-star who's literally from Tuscaloosa.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it was just kind of, and I sent it to him, and he was like, I don't care. We have this many 5-stars, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, but you're not seeing the point. Auburn hasn't had a true good recruiting class since 2008.
Forever.
So, like, even if you look at 2010 when we won the Natty, Cam Newton did that by himself. You feel me? And then the 2014 or 2013 when we made it to the national championship, we had 2 luck plays against Alabama and Georgia.
Lucky.
Wow, so lucky. And then Trey Mason had to carry the ball like 30 times a game.
He was a unit.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like, well, we were winning games with nobody. And so, like, the fact that we can now take guys from Alabama and Nick Saban, like that's something to be proud of as an Auburn fan.
Oh yeah,
because that hasn't happened since
No.
Nick Saban started winning. If he wanted somebody in the state of
He's getting
Alabama,
it.
like Reuben Foster, right? He had a freaking Auburn tattoo because he's from the city of Auburn.
Yes.
And he had an Auburn tattoo, verbally committed, and then on commitment day went to Bama.
I still can't believe that
Bro,
one.
it blows my mind. He actually covered it up.
Did he really?
Yeah, he covered up the Auburn tattoo, and he made it like Alabama, and like he just covered it up and did some crazy stuff to it. But yeah, it's really I'll give him credit. It looks good. But yeah, you feel me? So that's just a proud moment for me,
Yeah.
and like I get it. We might not win the SEC this year, but it's just like wow, like you have to like take that into consideration, you know.
On that same note, though, and I gotta tell you the story of the what people call the big brother little brother thing is that if you look at the rivalry in all sports, Oklahoma State actually beats Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Like we win the overall rivalry when it comes to athletics.
Yeah.
Like almost every year.
Right.
But football is the one that everybody looks at, right? I mean, and so like we've got a disproportionate record compared to them in football. In 2021, if you remember this, that was the year that Bama kind of fell off the rocker a couple years ago when they who was the quarterback? Anyways, it's escaping my brain. But Oklahoma State was climbing. We were climbing, and we had we were in the middle of a really good year. Like we were incredible.
Yeah.
And we get to that final game against OU, and we're both 10-1. And we were ranked 7, they were ranked 10. This was the weekend after Thanksgiving on Thursday. This was for a chance to go to the Big 12 championship and then potentially the playoff.
Right.
And we hadn't had a team that good since my freshman year, but we all knew the freshman year team was a paper tiger. But this team was legitimately great.
Yeah.
And so I just told my parents, and my sisters did the same thing with me. We all packed up after Thanksgiving on Thursday, and we shipped right back out to Stillwater, Oklahoma. And I was already graduated from undergrad,
Yeah.
but I wanted to go so bad to see if we would beat them. It was at OSU, most lit environment I've ever been in my life, and we did. We slayed the giant. We conquered
Yeah.
OU.
It's a good feeling.
Oh, it was incredible.
Yeah.
It was incredible. And then the next day, like literally within 12 hours of the game ending, that's when Lincoln Riley announced he was going to USC.
Ah, yeah, okay. I remember now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember now. Because it was kind of like, because beforehand he was kind of like, I'm focused on the Oklahoma team
Yep.
and this and that.
Yep.
And then when after you guys beat him,
He left.
Yeah, because you weren't going to the Natty or nothing.
It was the same day that, don't mean to bring up a painful memory, but I remember watching it before our game started, the triple overtime Iron Bowl, where what's-his-face did the little duck thing or swan or whatever it was. That's that same year.
Yeah.
And it was nuts.
That's why I couldn't remember it. We were at Auburn. That's
It was.
Yeah.
It was down there.
We went down to Auburn that day. We were
Oh,
there
you
for
were
that game.
there.
Yeah, we didn't go into the game, but we like tailgated and did
But
all
you were
that
at
stuff.
the stadium.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that's why. I was wondering why I couldn't remember that game,
Yep.
but yeah, now I remember now. Yeah. Yeah. Now that's a good feeling.
Yeah, it
That's
was
a good
awesome.
feeling.
It was awesome.
I think rivalry weekend is easily the best weekend in
Oh.
college sports.
No contest.
Easily. Yeah, I love Thanksgiving weekend.
But you know what? This conference realignment stuff.
Yeah, I was about to ask you how you feel about that. As an Oklahoma State fan, now that Oklahoma is not in your...
I mean, they're
They still could play the game.
so they've been super smug and arrogant about it from the concept of that they feel like since we ended, like they're saying we ended the rivalry when it was their decision to go to the SEC. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they kind of, because as the two state schools, we kind of are, you would think, joined at the hip, but they went off and did their thing with the SEC, which is their prerogative, but like don't come back to us and say it's our fault. You know what I mean? So, but anyway, so
Yeah, because now as an Oklahoma State athletic director, if I want to play you, you will be one of our non-conference games that we have to do every year.
And we're not doing that.
Yeah, because it doesn't make sense.
Nope.
It doesn't affect our Big 12, nothing. All it does is if we lose, we risk the natty or the playoffs.
And truthfully, the Big 12, I mean, it's probably debatable, but the Big 12 is now positioned as the third best conference. I mean, it's going to be a staple. We got some dynamite programs in this conference, including the ones we just added last week.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, it as a Big 12 fan and, like, an OSU fan, I'm kind of happy with where we're sitting.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of that coin, it's ruined rivalry after rivalry. Oregon State about to not play. Washington State, they're not going to play. I mean, Arizona State will come to Big 12. You still got others that have remained intact, but, like, I mean, think about these rivalries once the ACC, all this rumor and skirmish of them disbanding, you know what I mean? I mean, Florida State, Miami, Clemson, all that.
People call me crazy, but I've been trying to tell people that was about to happen.
Yeah.
Why? The reason the Pac-12 is happening is because they've been left out of the playoffs.
Yes.
And it's continuous. It's a continuous thing, and they keep getting left out. So at a point, like if I'm Oregon, Utah, all these people, like I'm going to go into a conference where I have a better chance of going, whether I have one loss or two. Because it's crazy. Because if I'm a Pac-12 guy or a team, and I'm sitting there, and a 2-loss SEC team is getting favored over me, why would I not switch conferences at this point?
I just find that the timing to be crazy from the perspective that it's about to be a 12-teamer.
Yeah, because you have no idea what could have happened.
But everybody says you just follow the money. The paper trail of the dollars is all. I mean, the Pac-12 did not get the media rights deal that it wanted.
Yeah.
I mean, that nobody wanted. And a lot to blame on their commissioner's part and all that stuff. But, like...
I mean, the time zone thing is a big thing.
It is huge.
But the thing that I think that they should have done, and it would have sucked for their fans, but tough, you just have to play the games earlier. Playing the games late was not a good idea.
Not a good move.
Because I don't care who you are. SEC fans in the South, and I'm sure Oklahoma and Oklahoma State are pretty close to the same, I'm willing to assume, we get started early.
Yeah.
And we're drunk and ready for bed and by 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
So if you start that game at 9:45, like, I don't
know.
No
one's watching.
No. And if I am, I'm probably watching Caleb Williams twice.
That's about it.
You know what I'm saying? I'm a little cross-eyed and I'm... For me, I'm not... You feel me? So it's just kind of like, bro, like, I'm not... So, yeah, that to me was a bad move. That was a bad move. To do the Pac-12 at dark thing that they were trying to push, that was a bad move. I think the other bad move was... what was I about to say? The other bad move, they had a commissioner. They hired a new commissioner in 2010-ish, right when Oregon was doing their push. Mm-hmm. And he started to... he changed the way they were doing their conference. Yeah. But I agreed with you should remove. I don't like how the SEC does, like the SEC West and the SEC East. Mm-hmm. So like it kind of fares now because Georgia's up there, but like at a point it was LSU, Alabama, or Auburn. So like
the only three.
You know what I'm saying? So like Florida and Georgia would get in there and get smacked by either LSU, Alabama, or Auburn. And it would just kind of be like, so at what point in time, why isn't Alabama and LSU playing for this SEC championship? Facts. So I agree when they did that, but it was the way they went about doing it that kind of messed up like their dilemma, because now it's because of the system that they had, you were running the risk of the one team that you had of getting in losing, and that's what kept happening, and that's why they couldn't get into the playoffs. Right. So they just kind of messed up themselves right there. Yep. But they that was about to happen, and the ACC is about to go down the same path, and that's just because they relied too much on Clemson. Clemson was carrying the conference for so long. Florida State has fallen off. Miami we haven't seen since Ed Reed left.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? And I don't even know who else is even in that conference that I would even categorize as
Virginia Tech fell off. I mean, they used to be pretty good.
Yeah, they used to be solid.
They used to be pretty good.
Yeah.
Clemson's the only one carrying the torch.
Yeah, but I personally believe, give it maybe less than 10 now. I think, cause like, so my standpoint is like, so now we're moving into the 12. If I'm, so once again, Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, Tennessee, why would I continue to accept a playoff system where we know we're the 4 best teams, but all these other guys get automatic bids because they won their conference, or like little stuff like that? Like, why would I keep putting up with that? So like, eventually, I believe like all the big top 32-ish teams, 40-ish teams are gonna go off on their own
and do their own deal.
They're gonna have their own thing.
Yep.
I think that's what's about to happen. It's gonna happen. Like, it just makes sense.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'd be mad at it. And if I was like UCF and Boise State back in like 2008 with Kellen Moore and all them, I wouldn't be mad about that. And because now you get to compete for your own natty at this point. Like, why? Like, I get it. You want to take on the big dogs, but like Cincinnati with Desmond Ridder in 2021 or whatever it was. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you? Like, you guys, if you would have played, if all those big schools would have had their own thing, and then you guys would have had your own, you guys would have been playing in your own natty.
Exactly.
And it truly probably still could have almost the same respect level as this other group over here.
Sure.
And so I think it'll be good. I think it'll be good for everybody. I kind of like it.
Yeah.
I think that's where we're headed. I don't think I'll be mad at it.
No, and the TV deals will pay a ton of money.
Yeah,
a ton of money for that top deal.
Yeah.
We'll be home free from there. But
Cincinnati's in the Big 12 now, aren't they? Or something like that?
They are.
Yeah.
Cincinnati, Houston, UCF, BYU.
Woo.
And then we just added Arizona State, Utah, Washington, or Colorado.
Man. Hey, the NCAA game from 2000, what's the nose, 14? That's about to be worth millions.
It's going to be worth a bunch.
That's about to be worth millions.
I know it. Yeah.
I'm about to keep mine.
You got to.
I think I'm about to put it in a box and put it away.
Yeah.
I'm not even about to mess
sell
with
it. Sell it later. Way later.
Yeah. Because that's about to be worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of money.
The way the old days were.
It's crazy that they're still stalling on this new NCAA game. I don't even play video games, but I want it. I just want
it bad.
You know what I'm saying? I just want to play it, but it's been too long. We need to get it back. And they need to make sure it's not like Madden.
I know.
But I did read, because I'm a super nerd, so I was reading into it, the 3 out of like the 8 leads on the NCAA game are Madden operators. So there's a chance that it's going to come out close to Madden. Like the lead game operator or whatever, he's been working on Madden for like the last 15 years.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh well.
So we'll have to see.
Yeah.
But how long have we been running?
141.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
We're rolling.
Yeah. Well, you got anything else?
No, man. I just thoroughly appreciate the open dialogue, just talking about everything, and I think encapsulating like all that we have talked about is that people anymore just don't do this enough.
Yeah.
They don't talk.
Yeah.
I mean, these have just dominated us far too long. I mean, no one knows how to communicate. No one wants to communicate. And, gosh, I just think that what you're doing is phenomenal just for life in general. And I hope the words we've talked about hopefully inspire somebody, help somebody, just encourages. And I think that from our beginnings and how past have all gone, to be able to share stories and see what life's already done in the short, relatively, time span that we've all been able to start cranking this process. I mean, it's a cool deal. So
yes, sir.
I just appreciate you.
No, I appreciate you coming. No, I appreciate you coming, man.
Yeah, man.
Humbling to have you here.
Yeah.
It's been a great conversation. We'll most definitely have to do this again.
Again.
Yes, sir. I'm excited.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you guys. Make sure where can they follow you at?
I'm on Instagram at Corbin.Cowles. I'm on Facebook. Main 2 avenues. Yeah, I'm on both them social media platforms. So
yes, sir.
I'm not gonna dive into this, but I have a Twitter account, but I never use Twitter
Yeah.
anymore, or X,
Or
whatever you
X,
call
whatever.
it.
Yeah, he's going.
I'm out on Twitter. We can
Yeah.
talk about that in the next podcast.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you guys joining us. Make sure you follow Corbin. Keep track of all he's doing. Support your farmers. Yeah, appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks, guys.
Woo.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
In the mirror, I see a great man, but look in the mirror. I see a great man.